What's up, CFO gang? It's your boy Jay Tuck. Haters, shh. Real Cowboys fans, stand up. And you're now tuned into the Cowboys Fans Only channel. So if you're new, do me a huge favor. Comment, like, subscribe somewhere down there, somewhere down there, somewhere down there. I think it's right there, right? And be sure to turn on that notification bell to stay updated with all Dallas Cowboys content. Also, follow your boy on Twitter at JTuck151. I appreciate all the support on Twitter, all the interactions, the good, the bad, the ugly. You guys hold me down, I'll hold you guys down. So definitely follow me on Twitter. And also, CowboysFansOnly.com. Use the code CFO to get your 10% off your official CFO merch. Well, yo, Cowboys fam, today was that day we talked about last night with my guy Nix and Professor O. It was cut day. We had some roster cuts, a lot going on around the NFL. But I had to bring in one of my guys, man. This guy is definitely a great follow on Twitter. He be banging. He calls himself the gift guy. You know what I'm saying? The gift god. Or he might be the GIF guy. We got to ask him, is it GIF guy or the gift guy, right? But he's a guy, man, very knowledgeable when it comes to Dallas Cowboys content. So I said, bro, you got to come link up. You got to come introduce yourself to the fam because it's Dallas Cowboys football season and we only bring the best of the best on this channel. So CFO gang, I'd like to welcome my guy, Brandon from Frankly Football to the show. What's going on, bro?
I appreciate you inviting me onto the show, Tuck. It's been a long time coming, bro, because you know we have a great connection on the Twitterverse.
Right.
You know, I call myself the gift guy because I have coined the Thanos gift in its many forms.
Right.
It's so funny in many an occasion.
Right. I mean, them Thanos gifts, man, they be coming in handy. But like, I feel like all of them just hit. It's like one for every moment, man. Like my favorite one is when you're dragging Gamora off the cliff. I use that one. My favorite, though, my personal favorite is I don't even know who you are, man. I'll probably use that. I'll probably use that frequently, man.
And the one that's so fitting for today.
Snap.
Come on now.
Made half the roster vanish, man. That's what it felt like.
Get him out of here. Get him out of here.
So for the people who are seeing you for the first time, my guy, tell them where they can find you at and all your channels and all your information, man.
So, of course, you can find me on my channel, Frankly Football. That's where me and my guy, Mr. Set It Off, Chris himself, we go back and forth. He is the Robin to my Batman. Actually, you could say that we have a great back and forth. He's the Captain America to my Tony Stark. You know, that's where we get down. You know, but you can also find me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Frankly Football, except the last L is a 1. So you can find me on there as well.
Yeah, definitely follow him up, y'all. They said great guy, great content, man. He keeps the chat lit. He keeps the Twitter timeline lit too, man. So always represent, people who do like myself who keeps Cowboys Twitter alive, man, because we are the pulse of the community, as I always say. And salute to every one of you guys in the chat, man. I see my guy Shane. What's going on, Shane? Jim Laws in the building. My guy BJ Nick, Sin City Cowboy. What's up? Studwood Cowboy. Let's see. I'll make sure I miss anybody. D Hill, what's going on, bro? Keith, what's going on, my guy? I appreciate all y'all tuning in. So definitely ask the questions below. We're gonna dive into that. So, this morning I woke up early this morning, right? As they say on Twitter, and the very first news that kind of broke that had people excited was Ben DiNucci was released from the Dallas Cowboys, right? And so a lot of Cowboys fans are like, all right, about time. Mike McCarthy actually had the courage to kind of move on from his guy. Now, will he be back on the roster tomorrow as far as the practice squad is concerned? We don't know. But, that was kind of the first nail that dropped this morning. Then the second tweet dropped that it was actually Garrett Gilbert that was released from the Dallas Cowboys and not Cooper Rush. And when me and Nix and Professor O did our show last night, I personally had Garrett Gilbert as the QB2. How was you feeling, Brandon, about that? Do you think that Garrett Gilbert was the QB2, or do you think that Cooper Rush showed enough to win that spot?
So that's what kind of surprised me. I think that we've seen enough of the Cooper Rush show. We've seen the rerun. They played the movie, and they did their media run to where we know what he is. Mm-hmm. He actually went to another city and played under Jason Garrett, practiced under him, and Jason Garrett didn't want him.
Right.
We know what he is. So I'm surprised that another coach decided to keep him. Mm-hmm. That says a lot about Garrett Gilbert. We thought that he would be, the backup incumbent after his one start last year. Mm-hmm. What did Garrett Gilbert do? How did he regress in practice this year? We know that he didn't play in the games too well.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. We expect. I would have expected him to develop throughout the season with more time.
Mm-hmm.
But for him to be cut outright, and he wasn't even waived, he was released. I think that he's kind of an older guy. Garrett Gilbert's like what, his late 20s, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But for him to be released,
actually, he's 30. Is he 30?
Man, he's older than me. That's crazy. So for him to be released, that says a lot about what they thought about him compared to Cooper Rush, who isn't a guy who came in with a sponsor. The thing that we talk about a lot on my channel is sponsors. Who's a guy who still has, somebody who has skin in the game with them. For example, Kelvin Joseph has a sponsor. They selected him. Some of these other guys who they selected last year have sponsors. Cooper Rush was with the last regime.
Right. So who could have been that sponsor? The Joneses.
Absolutely.
The Joneses.
Absolutely.
And sometimes in Dallas, that's the only sponsor you need is the Joneses. Because I was thinking from this standpoint, if you go back to, when Dak kind of just went down with the shoulder thing, Garrett Gilbert was pretty much the leader of the offense. I mean, moving forward, he was playing with the ones frequently. We saw him also in the preseason. Now, honestly, I was saying this last night, is that when you go back and watch the game versus the Cardinals, Garrett Gilbert didn't look bad. I mean, he had some few key drops that kind of ended some drives, but for the most part, he looked okay. He didn't look great, but he looked okay. I mean, Cooper Rush really just had a decent little flash versus the Houston game, but when we go back and watch what he did versus Jacksonville, he was very lackluster. And so it's like, how did Cooper Rush really win that job? Remains to be unseen, unless one of those sponsors from up above came down and said, we're going to keep Cooper Rush. Now, speaking of backup quarterbacks, there was also some news that happened around the NFL. And if you follow me on Twitter, I've been kind of on this hill for the past 2 years about bringing this guy in a backup capacity. So, not expecting it, the New England Patriots released Cam Newton. So Cam Newton is now available to be a backup quarterback possibly for the Cowboys to bring him in. And it sounds like there's kind of some interest. Now, I'm not sure. I see there's conversations about Cam possibly not being vaccinated and this and that and this and that. I don't know nothing about none of that. But all I know, y'all, is that if you were to bring Cam Newton in, he would be a very reliable source as a backup quarterback and a definite improvement over Cooper Rush. So, Brandon, how you feel about the Cam Newton situation and what's your thoughts? Because I see a lot of Cowboys Nation originally, like a few years ago, they wasn't on track with me. But seeing how bad things are right now, they're like, all right, Tuck, we see what you're saying. I would definitely make a play for Cam Newton. What's your thoughts?
Here's my thought about the vaccination status. I don't care about it. Less than 50% of our team is vaccinated.
Right.
So that's neither here nor there. We don't even know if our starting quarterback is vaccinated. He won't speak on it. So that's one thing. For another thing, we don't know if our current backup quarterback is vaccinated. That's another thing. So whether Cam chooses to be, that's neither here nor there in my book. It's not like he would be the starter. If he comes in and potentially signs with the Dallas, he would come in clearly as the backup. So his vaccination status is none of my concern. Two, I'm not particularly sure that Cam Newton would want to go anywhere in a backup capacity. Maybe he would. He may want to try his hand, roll the dice on another team first, who he may want to go and compete for a starting role. One of those, man, it would be really rough to see, like a New York, to be totally honest. A team where he can go in and maybe compete. But
because when you look at it, though, there's not many teams out there where that opportunity is available, except I would say Houston. If you wanted to go play and be a starter and play pretty much, flag football out there in Houston because they ain't going to be competitive, you can go do that. But besides Houston, I mean, I know the conversation has been Washington as well, of him linking back up with Ron Rivera, but I doubt that Fitzmagic going to just give the job up that easily. So it's like, where can Cam really go? And so you might have to kind of force yourself into an Andy Dalton situation like last year, where you got to just be a backup. Maybe an opportunity presents itself where you get a few plays, and then maybe next year is we can probably go somewhere and compete for a starting position. But as of right now, I don't know where you can go besides Houston, to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely right, man. his choices to start are very limited, slim pickings. After he reviews those options, he's honest. He's gonna have to go somewhere
Right.
and sit in the backup capacity.
Yeah, I agree. And here's what I want to say, yo, because I saw people on Twitter. You know how Twitter does, bro. They were like,
Absolutely.
Cam Newton's better than Dak. And he's gonna be like, no, I'm not doing all that. I'm saying as a backup quarterback, for Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is clearly our quarterback and our quarterback of the future. But what I was saying is, just in case, if we do need a backup quarterback in a capacity, let's say for 2 to 3 games or maybe 4-game stretch that can really keep the team afloat, Cam Newton with this offense gives us a much better chance to keep the season alive than if it's Cooper Rush. If it's Cooper Rush going out there for 4 games, God bless us, I don't see much happening. But if you have Cam Newton, he can keep things afloat if something was to go wrong with Dak. Now, my guy Nick's, knock on wood, we're not going to have no issues with Dak Prescott. But just in case, like my tweet said, it's like walking around with the iPhone without a case on it. Cam Newton would be that case just in case something was to happen with Dak that I would definitely welcome in. Just in case, And the thing is, you can probably still bring him in for the vet minimum because I think when his contract is established, he's still being paid from New England. So you get an opportunity, have Cam Newton as a backup, let him sit just in case something was to go astray with Dak. He can carry the torch for a few games and then move on next year. So I'm definitely okay with that. And I'll say this. I think a lot of people get concerned when it comes to Cam about his personality. He's very vibrant. He likes to dance and, he kind of likes to rally the locker room. We won't have to worry about that in Dallas because the entire team knows Dak's our guy. Yeah,
everybody likes to dance in Dallas.
Right.
Everybody likes it. So who is the distraction?
I don't know, but some people have this idea that because Cam likes to celebrate, you know how he is, it's a distraction. But people don't understand. And I always say this: if you call Cam Newton a distraction because he likes to dance and celebrate and talk while wearing a Michael Irvin jersey, you kind of fake to me, bro. So it's like, because Michael Irvin was that rowdy guy like to celebrate, dance, you know what I'm saying? So you need some of that energy in the locker room. You played the game, I played the game, we've all played the game. You need sometimes someone to lift you up and keep things upbeat.
Absolutely.
When you talk about Cam Newton, he's been a captain of the team. There's really been no locker room issues, no off the field stuff. And so we had a lot way worse in Dallas than Cam Newton. I would definitely welcome it, man. So if it's a possibility, and it sounds like the Cowboys are going to, think about the idea. Will they do it? I will say no. But, the idea is still available, and I definitely would.
Now, that kind of brings me to my next question. What does pursue Cam Newton or consider Cam Newton? I forget what the verbatim of the tweet was that they had in parentheses or quotations. What does that mean in the realm of Dallas? Because they've never been big free agency guys.
It means they're going to look at it. Like it says, the Cowboys will begin exploring Cam Newton as a potential backup to Dak Prescott per source. And when it comes to exploring or pursuing, when it comes to Dallas Cowboys, they think about it. They'll talk about it. But will they actually be active and really going to get Cam Newton? Highly doubtful. They pursue and, explore a lot of things, but they kind of still in their hands frequently. So, like I said, if I had to bet money, I would say that Cam Newton is not going to be a Dallas Cowboy, but they should definitely proactively go out and try to get this established because, as we all clearly saw, Cooper Rush ain't it. Gary Gilbert ain't it. So it's like, I don't know why Cowboys fans today were sitting on their high horse like, I don't want Cam Newton. I don't want Cam Newton. We all sit back and watch the preseason. We all, my guy Matt Owens said, fun fact, J Tuck was the source. You got me, bro. I was the source. And I was saying the Cowboys are going to actually pursue Cam Newton. But yeah, a lot of Cowboys fans like, I don't want him. What other options do you really have at this point? You don't. You ain't got none. So I would definitely welcome Cam Newton in-house at Dallas, man. So we'll have to see what happens.
Absolutely.
See, my
guy. For what it's worth, man, I will never out you as my source, ever.
Yeah, man. Don't out me as the source, man. But if I am the source, man, it is what it is. So I want to transition into something today, man. So the final 53 cuts happened today. Now, of course, we all know this isn't final. These aren't going to be the clear roster that we're going to see next Thursday versus Tampa, but it kind of gives you an idea of what the Cowboys are thinking. Now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, I think there's 5 players currently on COVID protocol, 5 or 6. It might be 5 or 6, I believe. So they're going to take a spot back, I believe, once they come off of protocol. So it's going to be interesting to see how this dynamic works, but going into today, there were a few cuts that were made. So the first thing that really sticks out when I looked at this list that Jeff Kavanaugh, my guy, dropped today was Chauncey Golston. So Chauncey Golston is going to be eligible to return. He's not going to be on IR where he has to sit for 3 games. He's going to be eligible to participate. So, you know, he's a guy who we drafted in the 3rd round. It was sitting out due to some long hamstring issue. I don't know why he was out so damn long with just the hamstring. He missed the entire camp, but he's going to be returned, eligible to participate, so he counts toward the 53. So what is your thoughts on Chauncey Golston? I know you kind of watched the draft, and where do you think he's going to be able to help us this year?
So Chauncey Golston is a guy who I thought was going to be kind of like second coming of Tyrone Crawford. Okay. So I really thought that we were going to need him to play everywhere along the D-line. Mm-hmm. But since he was so hurt and so absent, I thought that he was going to be like an IR stash. Mm-hmm. So I'm surprised that they are using a roster spot for him, considering he hasn't been present in practices at all.
At all. Which means they're probably speaking highly of him if they're going to make that decision of him and put him on the final 53 and not stash him without seeing anything, really. So I got a question. Salute to my guy and girls, SoFlo Cowboys. We definitely going to be in the building next Thursday versus Tampa. So they know my answer to this. But let me ask you this, bro. How confident are you with our corners going into game 1 versus the Bucs?
So here's my thing. I'm very good friends with a Tampa Bay Bucs fan. Okay. So I've been doing this, since the schedule release. Mm-hmm. The Cowboys are going to beat the Bucs by 9 points. I'm calling the exact point.
So we're going to beat them by 9 points?
By 9 points.
Let's go. All right.
So, and his rebuttal is, who's gonna what is Diggs gonna do exactly? Trevon Diggs went through a gauntlet in his rookie year. Mm-hmm. Let me pull up the list of threats that Trevon Diggs played in his rookie year. See, I just did this 45 minutes ago.
You ready?
He went against Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods in week 1, Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley in week 2, DK Metcalf in week 3, Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry in week 4. Yes, that was week 4. Christian Kirk at some point, I think that was week 6. Terry McLaurin twice in the season, Chase Claypool, Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen and Hollywood Brown. Mm-hmm. Those are all of the very good to elite receivers that Trevon Diggs had to cover.
Okay.
Oh, and I forgot Juju Smith-Schuster.
Okay.
So for Mike Evans, he doesn't scare me more or significantly more than any of those names that I just named.
Okay.
And that's a subject or a buzzword that I brought up a lot. Fear. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't fear me to any significant degree.
Okay.
You got to think about who they or what they went through last year prior to the playoff run that they went through, which had a lot of odds in their favors. Mm-hmm. Whether it was guys who got hurt on the opposing team's offensive line or quarterbacks that were just hobbling through their last game and then eventually retired. Drew Brees. Or teams losing their bookends in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the playoffs had a lot of things go in their favor. Prior to that,
right,
they didn't really excel to an excessive degree.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I forgot DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
The
cream of the crop. Yeah.
So to come in and name, let me see, what is it? Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and I guess Antonio Brown, even though he's kind of been an afterthought, doesn't scare me or put fear in me.
Jalen Darden, Gronkowski.
Yeah, I mean, what? You're not saying anything that puts fear.
Well, I'll say this. I don't want to say, my confidence was decent, but then after the news kind of broke today, I think that Kelvin Joseph might be an IR, so he might not be able to return for like 3 games now. So now we are really tied with Trayvon Diggs, Anthony Brown. I'm still around. Jordan Lewis, and then Nashawn Wright. And so, do we really match up well with their wide receiver core? Keep it a buck, I will say no. But my hope for the game versus Thursday, and this is the content for next week, y'all, but we're going to get into it. I feel like our front seven and that beast that we drafted this year, number 11, Micah Parsons and Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence, they are going to give us that advantage, because the one thing we know that cracks Tom Brady is pressure, and I feel like Dan Quinn is going to be able to bring pressure with that front seven that's going to bail out our secondary. Now, if we don't get pressure and we allow Tom Brady to sit back there and carve up, it might be a long night, so we might need to bring our earplugs while the cannon's going off. But I feel like just that weapon in Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence coming back, and Randy Gregory, from what I've seen thus far in camp, will be able to apply pressure, man, and be okay. And then also someone mentioned Maurice Kennedy as well. So, yeah. So, it's going to be interesting.
He's still there.
He's still there. He made it.
He made it. He was the best DB that we had in camp.
He made it. Salute to my guy Swan for the $5 holler, man. I appreciate you, bro. I'm not really concerned. Like I said, when you line it up, okay, they have to cover, you know what I'm saying? We have to cover their wide receiver core. They got to cover ours too, you know. So that's the thing. You got guns, we got guns. Let's have a shootout and let the bodies hit the floor. That's my thought process going into Thursday's game. So it's definitely going to be a fun one. So let's get back to these cuts. So Tristan Hill, he's going to be on PUP. TJ Vasher, one of my guys, they put him on reserve. So, you know, he's one of the guys that I was excited about as an undrafted free agent, but it looks like they're still keeping him in house. It's going to be interesting to kind of see. And then Noah Brown was a COVID, so he'll be returning back to the roster. So the players that were released, we have Garrett Gilbert, which you spoke about a second ago. Darian Thompson's gone, y'all. And I know I don't like to celebrate when players get cut and released, but he'll be okay. He'll bounce back. But when Darian Thompson was announced that he's gone, I'm like, okay, now we're moving the right direction, because that tweet that Curse sent yesterday kind of had me shook a little bit. You know, like, are they going to move on from Curse and keep Darian Thompson? But Darian Thompson was released. Deontay Burton, after he got cooked on Sunday, he's gone. Now, Jake McQuaid, the long snapper, he was released, but I think from conversation, he's going to be a guy that they will bring back tomorrow. He's kind of just to clear up spaces that way we can keep these rookies. Eric Smith, the tackle, Jeremy Sprinkle, and Justin Hamilton. So when I say some of those names, bro, anybody stands out that you thought they were going to actually make the roster?
None in particular. Darian Thompson was one of those guys that I was kind of skeptical of, just because of you kind of want to get the stench out of the air, you know. Mm-hmm. So to be totally honest and frank, I feel like we had to get him out,
right?
But I wasn't sure that they had the gumption to actually do it,
mm-hmm. Right?
So I don't want to say that I'm happy that it happened, because you know, I never want to see a guy lose his job.
Exactly.
But, you know, I'm glad that the team is moving in a forward thinking direction.
Exactly.
Let me say it that way.
And my guy Geechee just said this. That proves that we actually have depth at the safety position, which is new for us. This is foreign territory, Cowboys fam. Actually have depth at the linebacker position and also at the safety position. And so it really shows that this Cowboys defense is moving in the proper direction, which we've been waiting for so long. The one player that I would kind of say that kind of caught me by surprise was Justin Hamilton. I think Justin Hamilton had an outstanding camp from when I was out there at Oxnard, and also from the preseason games. But I thought, you know, maybe there'll be opportunity for him to maybe make it on the roster. Maybe he's a guy they will bring back possibly, but I like what I saw from Justin Hamilton. And then also Jeremy Sprinkle. Jeremy Sprinkle was a guy that I had penciled in, because I thought we were going to keep 3 tight ends. But apparently from conversation, it looks like we're just going to roll with Blake Jarwin and also just Dalton Schultz as of right now and keep 2 tight ends. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and McKeon. But McKeon's going to IR, right? I think he's on IR, so he can return in 3 weeks. He can return in 3 weeks, yeah. So I think you have McKeon, Schultz, and Blake Jarwin. But as of right now, for the next 3 weeks, it's just going to be Schultz and Jarwin, I think, as is. Let's get over to the waivers. We got waived. We had Johnny Dixon that was waived, wide receiver, Ben DiNucci, Osiris Mitchell, who's an undrafted free agent, Reggie Davis, Aaron Parker, Steven Parker, Brendan Knox, who's one of my personal favorites as far as the running backs are concerned. Also Jaquan Hardy. I know a lot of people kind of fell in love with Jaquan Hardy after last week's episode of Hard Knocks. He's gone. Tyler Coyle was a guy from Purdue that I actually like as an undrafted free agent, kind of a safety type hybrid. Hopefully they'll bring him back on the practice squad. But the next guy, Nick Ralston. I know a lot of people were high on Nick Ralston, and we thought that maybe he was going to be like that hybrid fullback / tight end. What's your thoughts on Nick Ralston? Do you think he's going to be a practice squad stash, or will it possibly be any opportunity for him to make the final 53 roster?
I do think he's going to be a practice squad guy, provided no other team picks him up. But to be honest, who really goes after a fullback? But then I also have to retract my last statement and say that the entire reason that I thought that we were going to keep him is because the Cowboys haven't been able to get over the obsoleteness, if that's a real word, of the fullback position. So I did pencil him in. I penciled in one fullback, and I thought it was going to be him.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And I think that, from hearing what Mike McCarthy spoke about, when he spoke about Ralston, he likes the kid. I think it's just kind of finding out where he actually fits. And so I think if he clears waivers tomorrow, I think that he will be back on the practice squad as a stash, and they'll find some way to use him. I thought that maybe he was going to get on the team, make the final roster just off of special teams ability, which you could possibly see in the future as well. Let's see. Yeah, my guy Joseph said fullback has become the NFL dinosaur. Yeah, but I mean, sometimes they are needed, And so, you get thinking back when we had Smith as kind of that fullback role. Like, we have Ezekiel Elliott back there, but sometimes having that up back man can help tremendously. So, you can still use them, but I agree, man. They're not as valuable as they used to be. And that was his whole slogan is bringing the fullbacks back again. Not so fast, man. Keith Smith. Keith Smith was the man. So Ralston, Nick Eubanks, tight end. Artavius Lynn, tight end, let go. Austin Filio, defensive end. Isaac Alacorn. Now, I think that they're going to use the exemption on him, so he's going to be a practice squad stash, and he won't count. So I think he's going to still remain with the Cowboys. So I know a lot of people are kind of upset about him not making the roster. He'll still be a Dallas Cowboy. And like we said last night, I think next year will be his opportunity to actually make a push to actually have, a roster spot. Braylon Jones, a center out of Houston, was an undrafted free agent. Now, let me ask you this, bro, because this has been a hot topic button for me and other people I've spoken about. The backup center position. What is your thoughts on that? And what do we do if something was to go wrong with Tyler Biadasz? Because I personally don't like the Connor Williams at center experiment. I'm going to get your thoughts on it.
It would have never been Connor Williams. He was never really the guy, and you could see it from the early practices when they were trying to do it. It looked awkward. He looked like he had two left feet. His arms weren't really there. So I think that they decided to go in another direction. Let me see who was the guy that they kept. Was it Farniok?
Yeah, Matt Farniok. So here's the thing. All our 11 draft picks, and I know that me and my guy Nix were always joking during draft season. We're not going to keep 11 damn picks. We don't need 11 damn. They kept all the damn picks, bro. All the picks are still on the roster in some capacity, which is crazy. So Matt Farniok, I think he's the guy that's going to kind of be that guard / center, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, man. Hey, look, if your team is dope at drafting like my team is, then why not? Then why not? If your team is bad at drafting like the 49ers or something like that, which I can really get into that story and provide proof of why I say that. But if your team is bad at drafting like them, then you would probably only keep like 2 or 3 of your draft picks. But if you're dope at drafting like my team is, then of course you would keep 60 or more % of your draft picks.
Right. I'm with it. Because that's the one thing we've done slightly. We drafted well. Like I said, a lot of people, even myself, we kind of sit back on draft night like, what's going on? But I will have to say, Micah Parsons, that was kind of a lock. But the Osa pick is turned out to pay dividends already. You're already seen it. And then Jabril Cox. So Osa is nice, man. I love what I see through Osa. Also, Jabril Cox. I know a lot of people kind of had questions about him playing, a traditional linebacker position, and is he willing to muddy up and get tackles and link plays? As what I'm seeing right now, he's able to handle that linebacker position. And I know a lot of people thought that earlier on he might be a slow play, but it seems like right now, from what we've seen thus far, Jabril Cox is ready today to contribute. So it's gonna be interesting how we work this whole linebacker thing, which we'll talk about here in a second. So I see everybody in the chat's already commenting about it. So we'll dive in and get your thoughts on that. So Braylon Jones, Brandon Smith, another wide receiver, and another guy who I thought was actually going to make the roster was Rondell Carter, defensive end. So Rondell Carter was waived out of James Madison. So any surprises that you see when we go down that list that kind of caught your eye, or you think everything's pretty much kind of seen it coming?
This is kind of why I dislike Hard Knocks, because they get you so attached to these down roster guys, like Jaquan Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't very good.
Right.
Jaquan Hardy was not a good player.
Right.
And so when people get emotionally attached to him or players like him, and then he doesn't make the team, then it's an uproar like, oh my goodness, he was such a good guy. He may be a good guy, and he may look great with his race specs on, but he's not a good player. And I need good players on my team.
Right. Facts. It's the business. It's business, not personal. Like I said, and that's what Hard Knocks do, man. They want you to get emotionally attached, and then that episode 5, you're sitting back, or probably tonight actually, which we'll talk about here in a second. Or no, it'll be next episode 5, where you'll start to see those cuts going through. You're like, oh, I was really pulling for that guy, but. Like I said, a lot of these guys, they're going to still remain on the practice squad. They're going to have an NFL career in some capacity. So, not going to be back on the street working with us now. Some of them, like Ben DiNucci, he probably needs to be working on the street. But some of these guys, we'll see. We'll see. And on the Dallas roster, contributing in some way or some capacity. Matt O says, not if he keeps whiffing on tackles when he's unblocked like he did against Jacksonville. I think he's talking about Jabril Cox. Yeah, Jabril Cox. He had some missed tackles, but it's going to, I'm not saying he's ready to, be that guy today, but I think he can contribute a lot more than I expected to this early. But yeah, they flow to the ball. So let's go ahead and talk about it, man, because that's the hot topic button on Twitter, on my show, everywhere. I'm sure it's on your show. The linebacker core. Let me go ahead and get your thought, because last year I'm going to talk about linebacker depth. Nobody want to hear anything I was saying. This linebackers, they don't matter. They're the running backs of the defense. Like, who cares? But now it's the very focal point of a lot of Cowboys fans. So let me get your thought on the linebacker position and the new added depth.
So with this one draft, we kind of managed to get healthy versions of Jalen Smith and Leighton Vander Esch in the form of Micah Parsons and Jabril Cox, respectively. I think that we managed to get the best pass rushing and the best coverage linebackers. And it was mind-boggling how we managed to do that. I think that, of course, they're still rookies at the end of the day. They're still going to need to develop. Micah Parsons is still a freak, but he can still get misdirected. For example, I'm a huge draft guy, so if you are not tuned into my channel, Draft Time, I'm a different beast. So. You're going to see those type of things. Micah Parsons can still get misdirected. Jabril Cox still may have issues with his tackling, like certain guys in the chat box have been saying. So those are going to be things that are just going to be part of the growing pains. We should just expect to see those things get better with time.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So a lot of people's kind of going, who was going to be the core guys? Because I said this when I watched the Houston game and I went to the Houston game. It seems like Dan Quinn is wanting to play situational football with this linebacker core. A lot of different sub packages, whether it's Jalen LVE on the field, whether it's Micah and Neil. And there's a lot of substitution. So what I said, bro, I believe that Dan Quinn needs to find out his core guys and just make his bed and roll with it. I feel like all the substitution packages was confusing. We saw the play when there was only 10 men out in the field, and a lot was due to that. And so that's where I'm standing. So where do you think it really comes down to as far as the rotation is concerned, and how will Dan Quinn really use these linebackers in his new scheme?
If you have too many guys trying to get off and on the field, you're going to have a lot of situations where you only get caught with 10 guys on the field. You get caught with your pants down. You don't want to do that too many times. An experienced quarterback will eat that alive. You want to do it on some of those drives where you can. Don't try to do it too often. There was a time where Philadelphia did that, and they got caught with 10 men on the field often.
Right.
This was during those Vince Young years. The Dream Team.
So
there's a time and a place for it. Is my point.
Right. Right. And what's up to my guy Bluff City in the building? This is actually my guy Brandon from Frankly Football, man. So definitely give him a follow on Twitter and also on his YouTube channel. But yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said, bro, because especially playing a quarterback like Tom Brady and you doing all this sub packages coming in, he's going to pick that up quickly and you're going to get caught with too many men on the field or not enough men on the field, but either or, it can be costly. And so it's like, yeah, I think that Dan Quinn really needs to just find his core guys and whoever it is, like I said, I have no fan favorites. Whoever gets the job done, gets the job done. You can put Gifford out there for all I care. If he's out there getting the job done, I'm rolling with it. So yeah, but I think that is really going to have to come down to now. Of course, there's going to be certain schemes and certain game planning where you might have to lean towards one group versus the other. But as far as throughout the game, all the interchanging pieces, I'm just not a fan of. Now, as you guys know, I'm not anti Jalen Smith or anti LVE, and they have to go because I like having the added layer of depth. Because I mean, even though Keanu Neal, he's played well thus far, he's still new to being a linebacker in the NFL, so he's still new. Micah Parsons is still new. And so, Jabril Cox is still new. So you can't lean on those three guys. We are going to need Jalen Smith and LVE at some point throughout this season. And then once next year comes around, we'll have a discussion on how to move forward. As of right now, I'm keeping all of them, but we just got to make sure we have the proper rotation.
I don't understand why people are saying to cut Jalen Smith. Teams need, around 6 linebackers to really successfully run a team. Linebackers are going to be your guys who, in a lot of cases, are going to be on special teams, or really rotation guys. Linebackers are kind of like the blood of your defense in a lot of cases. They're right in the middle. They're in the thick of it.
Right.
So if you want to cut your fourth best linebacker, for what reason?
Right. Because he celebrates too much. That's not a good enough answer for me.
Absolutely.
I need to have more valid reasons on why to move on from your fourth best linebacker, especially because you're going to see traces of a 3-4. You're going to see some 4-3 in this Dan Quinn scheme. So you're going to need these bodies out there. Plus, we got 17 games this year, y'all. I think that's what a lot of people are forgetting. Like, you're going to need some more, wood for the fire throughout this long season because we know how injuries, knock on wood, you eat us up quickly, and so you're going to need all the depth you can get. Now is not the time to start cutting and getting away of depth. I saw a good question. Let's see here. Let's see. So my guy William asked a question. Who's the one person getting kicked off the team because we have to make room for the COVID people? So I think that they mentioned that there was 5 people on COVID. And I don't have the names. Let me know in the chat. I know CD, Noah Brown is one. Hell, I don't know what's going on with all this COVID stuff. I feel like it's someone catching it and going in protocol every day. But I don't have the names. Let me know in the chat. But I think so 5 of those players are going to have to come back. So I think when I saw the tweet, it was like maybe Bradley and Nye could possibly be one of those guys that could be moved on. KZ and Watkins are the other 2. Noah Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and there's one other, I believe.
It was Malik Hooker, but I think he's off the list now.
Yeah, I think Hooker is off the list. There's one more I'm forgetting. So I think what they so we got Noah, CD, KZ, Watkins, and Williams.
Okay.
What Williams? Connor Williams?
Yeah, is it Connor Williams or?
Yeah, I guess Connor Williams. So see all this COVID thing, I can't keep track of it. So you have 5 of those core people. They are going to be back on the roster. So who do you think that are some of these people that kind of slid through the cracks today might be getting moved on to make way? So I think when I saw the list, Brandon Knight was one, Bradley and Nye, Azur was listed, Simi was listed, and I forgot another player that was kind of floating around in that list. So do you think that can be possibly the move?
Absolutely. I'd include Francis Bernard in that list.
Francis Bernard. I think he was on there. I think, yeah.
So yeah, you got a lot of those fringe roster guys. Like you said, it would be a flip flop between Malik Turner and Simi Fehoko. Just like you said, Azur Kamara, Francis Bernard. A lot of those bottom of the roster guys.
So we had this discussion last night, bro. Let me ask you this: how many wide receivers do you think we're actually going to keep on this roster? We know the core 3. I'm a believer that Noah Brown's going to be on the roster and Cedric Wilson. Do you think that we're going to go, 6 wide receivers? Like, how many do you think? Because I think the real question that people want to know is Simi, because a lot of Cowboys fans are tied to Simi. Now, I'll say this: he really didn't have the camp in the preseason like we all expected, and so I don't know what their next move is going to be with Simi. What's your thoughts on that, bro?
So to answer your first question, I think it's going to be 5 receivers.
Okay.
I think that of course you're going to have your 3. That ties up a big portion of our receiving room right there. Having 3 really good receivers, ties up a large amount of the available roster spots. But then Cedric Wilson had a pretty good camp, so he's earned that spot. It wasn't given to him. He doesn't have a sponsor. That's a buzzword that we got to continue to use. But then I think that last spot is going to end up being between Noah Brown and either maybe Simi Fehoko. Simi could potentially get injured and end up on IR.
Yeah, I think someone just said that. So let me see. I think he said, so Williams said on the radio, it said 5 people are going to IR, but 6 people have COVID. So there's 1 person who made it that has to get cut. And so, yeah. So I'm not sure how this whole COVID thing. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to play. I mean, maybe Mike McCarthy sits somebody in the room and have them cough on Simi or so. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's going to have to be something slick where they're going to have to keep Simi, but I don't think that Simi can go through waivers. And so
I don't believe so either. He was a very high priority draft pick around that middle day 3 time. And honestly, very good. Right. Very, very good receiver. Just didn't have the camp that we were expecting. And Dallas's receiver room is already very good, so his chances were slim.
Right. Right. And my guy Joseph said, Malik Turner was undrafted, cut by 2 teams. Simi Fehoko is your wide receiver number 3 next year. I'm not going to push it that far. But let me we'll pump the right. But let me ask you this, because clearly Malik Turner has had a much better camp and preseason than Simi has. Do you think that he's still going to be a casualty just because Simi was the draft pick and there was more capital spent to get Simi versus Malik Turner? Or are we truly going to be like the best man wins, where Malik Turner should, I honestly, get the nod over Simi, if we're being honest, off of production-wise?
And that's where we're talking about the bottom of the roster. So when it comes to that particular area, it's going to come to a lot of things like special teams, availability, and production. So, yeah, I think that they're going to let the best man win. That's why I said Simi Fehoko is going to go up for, a high point ball and then go, ouch, my ribs.
Right.
And, they won't have to worry about it. The Cowboys have been very, very savvy when it comes to working that IR, especially for young guys.
Yeah. Yeah. I like how Mike McCarthy's been working. Like, even with the whole Reggie Robinson situation, I was like, all right, I see what you got turf toe? All right, we gonna move on. I was like, man, he got his whole season ended off of turf toes. Like, I never seen that happen. But it seems like they're gonna have to get creative to keep a lot of these guys. It's gonna be interesting to see how it shakes out. Like I said, what we're seeing right now, it's just the start. You're gonna see a lot of different pieces start to interchange before we get to even Tampa and throughout the season. Now, before I let you go, I'm gonna ask you this, bro. Looking at the roster right now, because I asked this question last night, what is your confidence level going into the season with the roster currently as stands? And if we need to kind of bring in some additional pieces, where are those positions that you'd be focusing on?
I'm confident enough in the top end of our roster for the Cowboys to be at minimum a 12-win team.
Okay.
Especially our offense. I never had a single problem or question with our offense.
Okay.
Our offense is high-powered enough for me to never have any problems on the defense that we're opposing. Our questions have always been with building up our defense, and I think we've successfully done that. Now, injury is going to always be the great beholder. We're going to have to see how we can withstand the year. Every team has that question or that cloud looming over their head. We just have to hope and pray that we can last throughout the season, because we have a lot of strong teams coming on later in the season. I'm personally going to the Kansas City game. So,
you come to the Kansas City game?
Yes, sir.
Well, holla at your boy. I live in Kansas City. I'm here. We outside with it. We outside with it, man.
We outside.
It might be a little cold, so we might not be outside for too long. But
I'm bundled up.
Oh yeah,
I'm bundled up.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's gonna be
bundled up and mashed up. Oh, because we want this season to go without a hitch.
Right.
So make sure that y'all do y'all part.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. But I think that provided we are not injured, I think that the front end of this defense is fast enough to give any quarterback fits.
Mhm.
I think that the back end of this defense, we've seen surprises. I personally, for one, I am happy to be wrong about right.
Okay. Right.
So,
Right. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I mean, that might be a
oh yeah,
t-shirt.
absolutely.
'Cause I was wrong too.
So it's a lot of things that were pleasant surprises. For example, the Malik Hooker pickup and things like that. Um, but I think the back end of this defense is where we really just got to be tested a little bit and see how it pans out for like that first quarter of the season.
Mhm.
And I think that if the defense can be around anywhere from 15th to 21st, it's nobody that can stop this team.
Right. Yeah,
We just got to be not 32nd.
right. That's always been my threshold. Is get around, get to 15. Just give me the 15. Anything above that is great. If you give me the top 15 defense, I'm okay with that because I feel like my guy Nick says, if Dak Prescott is back to where he was prior to injury, we should be okay. Because I think that last year we really didn't get to see our offense in full capacity because our offensive line was limited out the gate without Lyle, and so it's like now having that full offensive line. Zeke looks different. My guy CeeDee Lamb looks, bro, like he's been in the in the chamber, the Dragon Ball Z chamber. Like he's ready to emerge. So it's like to see this offense, Dalton Schultz, is taking a step forward that what we saw last year, and also Blake Jarwin added. I'm excited about this offense. My only true question mark, bro, is this cornerback 2 position with Anthony Brown. I really thought we were done with Anthony Brown, but even though Wright and Bossman kind of showed some flashes, they really just didn't snatch the position where you got to say, all right, it's theirs, right? And so we're going to have to deal with Anthony Brown for a little bit, but I think as we kind of progress throughout the season, you'll see more Kelvin Joseph or Nashawn Wright really take over that position. So I'm excited about this season, man. I know that, we're 9 days away. I posted the Jalen Smith meme on Twitter. Everyone got mad. But 9 days away until Tampa. Now, also before I let you go, bro, tonight, Hard Knocks at 9 o'clock. What are some things you're looking for on Hard Knocks?
I think that they're gonna show, man, because we really didn't have many starters play at all. So I think that they're gonna show more Jaquan Hardy probably. Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And probably some Osa Odigizua.
Osa Odigizua. Yeah.
Yes.
I think we need some Osa. We need some Osa. We need some Kelvin Joseph, and we also need some Nashawn Wright. Like they have been kind of our 3 draft picks. Have kind of just been skipped through. I'm like, bro, can I get? I ain't seen no boss man interaction. Like you'd think that would be a player they would definitely focus on. I said tonight's barbecue on Hard Knocks. Micah Parsons, he's been still in the whole show. But what I'm looking forward tonight, first and foremost, Dak Prescott, man. Like Dak Prescott, I'm ready to see Dak Prescott just back practicing. I've been on edge, bro. You follow me on Twitter, man. I've been on edge about this whole Dak situation, man, because I need my quarterback back. And so once I kind of know that he's going to be back and be ready to go, I can kind of rest and relax. But I still want to back up quarterback, though.
Absolutely.
I still want to back up quarterback. I still want to back up quarterback, man. But hey, my guy, Brandon, I appreciate you for joining in, bro. You definitely have to come back. But before I let you go, let everybody know where they can find you at, my guy.
Well, once again, you can find me on my YouTube channel. That is Frankly Football. That's where me and my guy Set It Off, Chris. We go back and forth sometimes, but that's the beauty of it. You don't have to always agree. Sometimes it makes for beautiful content. You can also find me on Twitter at Frankly Football, except that last L is a 1. That is FranklyFootball 1.
Perfect. Great follow. Definitely check my guy out. And also follow me on Twitter at JTuck151. Also, Cowboys fans only. Go ahead, comment, like, subscribe, hit that share button. We are growing, like I said last night, y'all. This season is going to be a much better season than last year. So we going to hit y'all with content after content after content. We going to stay lit. We going to have call-in shows. We going to have fun this year because last year it was rough. And especially like being my first year in this, bro. Like, this is my first year doing Cowboys content. And we trash, this year, bro, we going to have some fun. We're going to keep it lit. I'm going to be at almost every Cowboys game. So if you guys are out there, definitely holler at your boy, man. We're going to do some live shows, live events, all sorts of stuff. So definitely stay tuned. And also, like I said, go to cowboysfansonly.com. get your official CFO merch. Use that code, y'all. Y'all not been using the code CFO game to get your 10% off, man. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Like I said, I want everyone to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and go Cowboys. 9 days. 9 days. Here we go. You can't jump out the whip now, y'all. It's time to ride. It's time to rally. It's time to go. And we're going to get ready to beat Tampa. Everyone have a good one. Peace.